Alright, so got my greenhouse all done. Probably see it through the window right over there, that big old white thing. Really excited about that. It's warming up pretty fast in there, so I don't know. I'm dying to get something planted to go in there. Right now I've got my onions that I started inside the house. Moved them out there. I've got my leeks that I started inside. Moved them out. So yeah, so now I'm going to plant some Cascadia sugar snap peas and kookaburra spinach from Johnny's. So my peas I'm going to do in these larger cells in this cheaper flimsy tray, just because I'm going to do 3 to 4 peas per cell and plant clumps of them, and I don't need that many, so this works just fine. I think it's 36 cells, so that's what's going in that. And then in these big 162 cell Haas Tools trays, I'm gonna have the spinach. Only gonna do 1 plant, or probably 2 seeds per cell, and then I can thin it if I need to. Yeah, so these will be perfect for the spinach. First we're gonna do the peas. Fill this tray up. Normally with my peas I like to soak them overnight, or at least for a couple hours. I'm just gonna go ahead and plant them though. So, and another thing, I'd normally like to have my seed starting mix a little like wetter than this, but I've got a lot of stuff to do today, so I don't feel like going and grabbing a bucket of water way over there just to get this done. I'll water them in a little later, so they'll be fine. Anyways, 1, 2, 3. Now my seed starting mix, that's the bio inoculant seed starting mix thing that I made a video about. It's got all the different mycorrhizae and different soil bacterias and fungi and stuff in there. You can go check that video out if you want. Seeds don't look too good. Now when you're planting seed, I always pick the best looking seeds to plant. Like you don't want, let's find a good example. Okay, so hopefully this will come out okay. Anyways, so here's a good pea seed, and then here's a not so good pea seed. This one's a little more shriveled up, it's smaller, it's pale, and yeah. So 3 of these nice ones, and these ones just get tossed on the ground for the birds or whatever to eat. was I? Another thing with the peas and the spinach actually is that it's going to be a few succession plantings, which is another reason I don't need so many peas. So in a few weeks, like probably the day I get these transplanted, I'll start another tray. Oh. Alright, well that's that tray. Just cover these guys up. Alright, now for the spinach in the Haas Tools trays. Alright, so with the spinach, I put them down about quarter to a half an inch. This soil is pretty loose and fluffy, so they can go a little deep. A little deeper, I guess. I wouldn't put them deep. Like I said, only 1 to 2 seeds per cell. Let's see, the germination rate on these is 90%, so I might even just do 1. Oh, let's see, hold on. So 162 in this cell, or this tray. Really I should do 2 trays, but I'll do half a bed first. And then come in and plant the other half a little later. Alright, so the dibbling part is done, and while I was doing that I was thinking I'm actually going to take a piece of plywood and like mark out all the little spots where I would want the seed to go, and put probably do 1/2 inch little pieces of dowel rod and just drill like a tiny little hole into the plywood just to set it, and then put a dab of glue and have pretty much a pegboard so I can flip it upside down, mash it down, lift it off, and then I've got everything dibbled out. That would be a lot easier. That's going to save me a lot of time this season. So that's what I'll do. Anyways, done with the peas. Let me get all of my reject seed out of here. Super simple, just throw it out the window. Alright. Okay, so there's the spinach seed. I don't know if it's going to focus, but I'll go ahead and time lapse this one because this is going to be kind of long. Alright, spinach is done. wet that soil a little bit. Come in here and sometimes with the coconut coir, you get like all these little coconut fuzzy things. So when I do this, they kind of all collect and bunch up, and then I can just toss that because there's no need for them to be in here. Depends on the quality of your coconut coir and then where you get it. This is actually really good quality, it just has a little more than usual. Alright, that is done. Now, take a tag. Name and date. Put that in there. And for the peas, this guy can go right there. Alright, now I'll take you out to the greenhouse. And yeah, anyways, now I'll take you out to the greenhouse. You can see that. And then I'll talk to you a little bit about why I start seeds in seed trays, and then why I'm using a greenhouse. So, here we go. Alright, so welcome to my greenhouse. Hopefully the rain isn't too loud. It just started raining, but it's nice because it's, even though it got kind of cloudy, it's still kind of warm in here. Really, I should have that window that you're standing under as like an umbrella. I should have that shut right now, but oh well, it's not the end of the world. So let's talk about why I start stuff in seed trays. I've had a lot of questions from a lot of people regarding the fact that I start stuff in seed trays and then I'm using a greenhouse and I live at GAUTSCHI'S, and why. So, to answer your question, every gardener does something different. I personally, apparently I get distracted easily and want to peel labels off of stuff, but okay, whatever. I personally like I like direct sowing just like Paul does, but I also really like starting stuff in seed trays, mainly because one, you can do the bio-inoculant thing like I did a video about, and two, you can really extend your season. So instead of just direct sowing, say, one crop of cabbage or 2 crops of cabbage a season, you can potentially have a 3rd crop. Well, that was probably a bad example. Let's see, what's another good one? Spinach. Well, we did spinach in a tray just now, so that'll work perfect. You can direct sow multiple beds of spinach in a season, but you still have to wait in the field for that seed to germinate. So instead of waiting, you can utilize the multiple bed spaces that you'd be waiting for stuff to come up in. So say I have onions out there now, I could harvest my onions, and then the same day I harvest my onions, I could have a whole tray full of spinach ready to just pop all the plants in, instead of direct sowing and then waiting 2 weeks for the spinach to really come up. And then that just wastes 2 weeks of my growing season. And then that brings up why I use the greenhouse, and honestly that's just because this is a protected area, so birds won't get in here, mice probably won't get in here as easily. Then I can kind of control the temperature a little better to get a better germination throughout the season. So yeah, saving time in the season kind of extends your season in one way, or in some way. And that's why I do it. I don't use a greenhouse to grow tomatoes in all summer long. I mean, this is Washington. If you really want good tomatoes, you grow them in a greenhouse, but they're not going to be really good tomatoes because the plastic does block some of the sun's rays going through, like, to penetrate to the plants. So with tomatoes and peppers and like eggplant and stuff like that, when the sun fully can't hit that fruit, it can't produce all the phytochemicals that it needs, like Paul talks about on some of his tours, and you've probably seen in some of the videos. So when the plants can't produce all those phytochemicals, they're not as good for you. Doesn't mean they're bad for you, it's just they're not as good as they potentially could be if they were grown out in the field in full direct sun. Now with seedlings, because you're not just eating the seedling right away, you're putting it outside so it can grow and reach its full potential, it's not a problem. Because all it does is it creates a better environment for them to germinate when you need them to. What else? I guess I'll mention too that this plastic isn't even brand new plastic. This plastic is actually 10 years old. I got it, I was helping another farm that I used to work with, and they were replacing the plastic on a 50-foot wide by 100-foot long high tunnel that they have, and I needed greenhouse plastic, so I told them I'll come help, and then I can get a chunk of your plastic, and that's what I did the other day. I went out there, got the whole greenhouse stripped down, and then plastic back up on top of it, and then went home 3 hours later with plastic and got my greenhouse done on the same day. And then this morning I just did the window and the door. But so yeah, now the greenhouse is all done. I'm really excited. Oh yeah, back to the plastic. This is 10-year-old plastic, so it's not like I bought it brand new. I mean, 10 years for one sheet of plastic is getting a good amount of use out of it, but it's still in really good condition, so I have no doubt that it could last another 5 years, if not a little longer. So I personally don't have a problem with the plastic in this case. I don't like plastic water bottles, that's a huge waste. Plastic grocery bags, that's a waste, but for certain things like silage tarps covering the ground out there to prep beds, that's perfect, because I'll get a lot of use out of that one sheet of plastic, and it'll last years. I guess we can also talk about the plastic seed trays. So these cheap flimsy ones I'm not a fan of, but I had them, so I'm using them. The only reason why I'm using them this year really is because of the cell size. If the trays... Well, that wind's blowing that open. If the trays... If the Haas seed trays had bigger cells, I probably would have just planted all of my onions in there too. Technically I could have planted them in here, but these trays are a little bigger than the standard size, and I needed these guys to be inside for a couple weeks. So just to save space inside, I went with them. I would have just planted a few less seeds in each cell. There's probably, I don't know, 10 seed in each cell. In here I probably would have done 5. Let's see. Yeah, so the Haas seed trays, yes, they are plastic, but they're extremely durable, and these things are without a doubt going to last me years, like a lot of years. Well, these things, they'll probably get brittle within a year or 2, maybe even this year. Both of them technically are UV treated, just like the plastic on the greenhouse, but it's quite obvious that these thicker trays are going to last longer, even sitting out in the sun and inside this greenhouse. So yeah, that's that. Go get some Haas seed trays, they're great. I'm loving them. That was loud. So yeah, that's pretty much it for now. In a couple weeks, I'll get these guys out in the garden, and then I'll start another tray of these. Same goes for the spinach. By then I'll probably be starting lettuce and some of my brassicas. What else? I don't know, I might even put some beets in trays and just plug them out just to kind of compare them, see how they do. Yep. So, that's that. Hope you learned something from this video. I don't know, I don't know, who knows, maybe you did. Hope you liked this video. If you did, hit the thumbs up. That always helps. If you're not subscribed, subscribe. You know the drill. So yeah, happy gardening. I'm excited. It's going to be a fun year. Alright, peace out.